After Effects has the ability to work beyond the typical 2D space that editors are familiar with inside Premiere. Unlike Premiere, After Effects can optionally composite flat planes in a full 3D space, allowing for more creative options. Here we'll take a brief introductory look at 3D layers and how they work inside of After Effects. So here's a 2D layer that we all know and love. I can select it and move it up, down, left and right. I can scale it. I can rotate it. And when we're talking about 3D layers inside of After Effects, all we're really talking about is turning on a simple switch. And if you don't already have it, go ahead and click here and turn on Columns Switches. And that will introduce this row of icons right here. This last one is the 3D layer switch. And it happens on every single layer. So you can mix and match 2D layers with 3D layers. So let's go ahead and turn this on and see what happens. With our layer selected, you'll notice that we have a brand new icon in the center here. And these 3D handles allow us to move or rotate up in Y space, X space, and Z space. So let's switch over to our selection tool, and we can move this towards us or away from us, and up and down, left and right, of course. We can rotate this around, and as we do, you'll notice that, yep, sure indeed, it's a flat 2D object. It's almost like a postcard floating around in 3D space. There's several ways to make this a little bit easier to view and to kind of conceptualize in terms of the 3D space that it's occupying. So over here, we have one view, and it's a view layout that we can change over from 1 to 4 views. And by switching over to 4 views, now we have the active camera we originally had, but now we also have a top view, a front view, and a right view. And by moving any one of these icons here, you'll see that it updates. I'm going to push this in back in Z space, and you'll see that from the top view, it's moving, and the right view, it's moving as well. From the front, you're not really seeing it because it's moving towards screen, and you'll see those changes with up, down, left, and right. So let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. I'm going to come up here to Edit, Duplicate, and we'll do it one more time. I'll just hit Command D with the shortcut. And under my photos, let's go ahead and swap out this first layer for maybe the stop image. Looks good. We'll hold down Option as we click and drag. And as we hover over, we get this plus icon indicating that we can replace that first layer. We'll do the same thing for layer 2, and in this case, we'll use the pencil drawer. And what I'm going to do is push off the pencil drawer off in Z space a little bit and the stop layer in Z space a little bit. Now, let's go ahead and switch back over to our one view. And this is an important concept to kind of grasp, and that is when you're dealing with 3D layers, the stacking order inside of After Effects kind of no longer matters. So you'll notice that in a 2D world, I should be seeing that stop image on top. If I turn this off, I should be seeing the pencil drawer image on top. Instead, I'm seeing the rear view on top for all 3. So what's going on? Let's go ahead and select those and hit P on the keyboard, and you'll notice that the position values are different. We have this rear view that is a negative number. We have the second layer, which is 127, and the stop layer, which is a greater Z value, often 332 or 340. So all these values in Z space really do make a difference, and they override the compositing features of the stacking layer when you're dealing with 3D layers. If you were to turn off this stop layer's 3D-ness, well, it becomes a 2D layer, and the 2D layer is always going to beat out the 3D layers. So this is always going to composite on top now because it's a 2D layer. And if I move it down to the bottom, you'll see that 2D layer is there at the back. So I'm going to turn on my 3D layer here, and it's great because now you can move these guys around, and it's the Z space that really matters at this point. So let's move this off to the side a little bit. Let's move our rear view to the side, and now we can kind of see all 3 of these layers. I'm going to switch over to my main comp, and inside here, let's go ahead and take that 3D layers composition and use that as a pre-comp here. And you'll notice that it comes in as a 2D layer once again. And if we turn on the 3D layer, we get our handles. And let's rotate this around. And there it is, 2D yet again. Even though we have a 3D layer, it's still a flat plane. That is until we hit this magic button here, the collapse transformations and continuously rasterized button. It's one button that does 2 functions. And when you're dealing with 3D layers, the collapse transformations almost gets treated like a pass-through button. So to show you what I mean, I'll rotate around here and you'll see that it is flat and 2D. Let's go ahead and turn this on. And you'll notice now, if we scale this down a little bit, you'll see that we get this cube-like thing, or the bounding box becomes like this rectangle, a 3D rectangle. And I can orbit around here, and you'll see that indeed I do have my 3D layers separated out into space that I wasn't able to see before hitting this button. So again, I'll toggle this off, and you'll see those guys get composited flat. And by hitting this, essentially what this is doing is After Effects is diving down into the 3D layers, pulling out the 3D information from here and bringing it up, passing it through to the main comp. So again, I think of it as kind of a pass-through button. So there we are in 3D space, and with those 3D layers, now this introduces a whole new realm of possibilities. If we were to duplicate this layer now, I can push this off to the side and further off in Z space. And as I orbit around, now I have 2 instances of 3D layers with the same composition. So we'll get more into how we can use and manipulate all these 3D layers in a later movie. I just wanted you to be aware of what the power of 3D layers inside of After Effects is capable of, and really just show you a brief introduction on how to enable 3D layers for one, and then two, see where we can take this later on down the line. Here in this video, we saw a glimpse of the power of working in After Effects' 3D space with 3D layers. Compositing in 3D space opens a realm of possibilities not achievable by 2D means.